You know that feeling when you look at a weather forecast and it feels like you're trying to read a different language? Well, today we're cracking that code. We are going to break down the language of weather so you can know exactly what's coming your way.
So this is what it all boils down to, right? When a meteorologist says there's scattered showers or a 60% chance of rain, what does that actually mean for, your weekend plans? In this explainer, we're going to turn all that confusing jargon into simple information you can actually use.
All right, first things first, let's break down the most basic, most fundamental part of any weather report. Before we can even get into storms or temperatures, we've got to understand what a forecast even is. The most important word here, prediction. A forecast isn't a promise. It's a science-backed, highly educated guess. It's what's most likely to happen based on a ton of complex data. But just like any prediction, it's all about probability, not 100% certainty.
Okay, so to make this all make sense, we're going to follow a story. We're going to track a single weekend forecast that, well, let's just say for our imaginary weekend plans, it's starting to look a little rough. This will show us exactly how all these terms connect in the real world.
So our weekend forecast is starting out with the first signs of moisture. And rain isn't just rain. Meteorologists have a whole specific vocabulary to describe how it's going to fall. And believe me, each word paints a very different picture.
And our forecast begins with drizzle. Think of this less like a real rain and more like a heavy mist. It's those tiny little dots of water that don't really feel like big, heavy drops. The annoying part is it can last all day and just kind of hangs in the air, making you wonder if you even need an umbrella.
So how is that different from a shower? Well, while drizzle is super light and can just go on forever, a shower is a sudden burst of heavier rain. It's definitely more intense, but here's the thing, it's usually over pretty quickly. So a forecast for showers means you should expect rain that comes and goes, not that constant annoying mist. All right, so in our weekend story, things are starting to ramp up. That drizzle and those showers, they're now building into something much, much more dramatic. A storm is officially on its way. And here it is, the main event, a thunderstorm. The key thing you have to remember is that it's a package deal. You literally cannot have a thunderstorm without both lightning and its very loud friend, thunder. These two things are completely connected. First, you get the lightning, that incredible, powerful flash of light. Then you get the thunder, which is nothing more than the sound wave that the lightning creates. And since light travels way, way faster than sound, you'll always see the flash before you hear the boom. But these big storms can produce a lot more than just rain. Sometimes they drop something solid out of the sky. And like this quote says, you know right away it isn't snow, because this stuff actually hurts. And that something is hail. Yeah, unlike soft, fluffy snow, hail is made of hard, solid balls of ice. They can be tiny little pellets or sometimes surprisingly big. And they only form inside really intense thunderstorms. It's a whole different kind of precipitation.
Okay, so we've talked about the words that describe the weather. Now, let's switch gears and look at how forecasters use numbers and special alerts to talk about things like intensity, probability, and risk.
You see a number just like this in a forecast all the time. But what does a 60% chance of thunderstorms actually mean for your evening plans? This chance is all about probability. A simple way to think of it is as the forecaster's confidence that rain will fall somewhere in your area. So a 95% chance? Yeah, it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to see rain. A 5% chance? You're probably in the clear. And our 60%? That just means rain is more likely than not. So yeah, making a backup plan is probably a smart move. Now, every once in a while, you'll see a phrase that's designed to make you stop what you're doing and pay attention. This is one of them. This is not just a forecast anymore. This is an active alert. That word severe, it's a critical upgrade. It means the situation has gone from just bad weather to being potentially dangerous. It's the official signal to take precautions. We're talking seek shelter, get inside, stay away from windows. When you hear severe, your brain should immediately think safety first. And finally, let's talk temperature. Highs and lows are pretty straightforward. They give you the temperature range for the day. The high is the warmest it's going to get, usually sometime in the afternoon. The low is the coldest it'll be, typically in the middle of the night. It's basically how you decide if you need a t-shirt, a jacket, or both. So we've covered all the pieces, the rain, the storms, the numbers. But how do forecasters tie it all together to describe the overall vibe of a day?
Well, that's where some of the more descriptive, almost emotional language comes into play.
So after a forecast of drizzle, thunderstorms, and maybe some hail, you might just describe the whole day as dreary. Now, this isn't a scientific term, but it perfectly captures the feeling of a day that's dark and dull and just kind of gloomy. It's the emotional summary of all that data.
And that's how it all connects. See, we went from a simple forecast all the way to a severe thunderstorm warning, and we landed on the overall feeling of a dreary day. A weather report isn't just a list of facts. When you know the language, it tells a complete story. So the next time you check the weather, try to look beyond the simple question of, do I need an umbrella? Listen for the story it's telling you about the world outside, and maybe ask yourself, how is that story going to shape not just what I do, but how I feel all day?